Honorable Okello Oryem is here. Just a few months ago, it was widely reported, locally and internationally, that Uganda joined the BRICS. I believe this one also brings into picture now new commitment. We need to understand how it was processed for Uganda to join the BRICS, if it has any financial obligation it poses on Uganda, and how we choose our international engagements, because that's the wider picture. At one side, we are saying we must receive payments, we must pay subscription. At one side, we also need to understand, even as they bring a list, how do we choose where to subscribe? Now that we have BRICS, how did we join it? And does it also pose now new financial obligations? I believe this must be answered in an exhaustive way. Also citing that case study. And I think this information is in the hands of the minister.
On the issue of BRICS, BRICS has come about, or we have applied to be members of BRICS, as a result of the current change of international world order. What was once called international world order or world rules-based order is no more. For example, currently, the United States government and the European Unions have started imposing sanctions, unilateral sanctions, on countries around the world which are not UN sanctions. We are under no obligations as a country. If the United States put a sanctions on any country, we are under no obligations to be part of that sanctions. We are under no obligations if the European Union imposed sanctions on Tanzania, on Saudi Arabia, or whatever, or Russia. We are under no obligations to be part of that obligations. We are under international law. We are only supposed to abide by UN sanctions, that impose the UN sanctions on those countries. But the rules have changed. The United States of America and the European Union now, whenever they import sanctions, they expect and assert and they put pressure on all other countries to make sure that they abide by those sanctions. And if you don't, then you face penalties, or even they sanction you. Now, because of that, and recent events, you have realized that the United States and the European Unions have on top of sanctions, started freezing assets of countries that have bank reserves of assets in their countries unilaterally without UN resolutions, which is a breach of the international world order. Uganda cannot just stand by and look at these changes and not be part of these changes. It will not be right. One thing which is happening now, and you can be aware, we are now in the process of studying, and when a paper has been developed, a subcommittee of government has been developed for the Bank of Uganda to start procuring gold, and so that we have gold reserves in this country, and not only foreign reserves abroad. We are about $4 million. What is our foreign reserves at the moment, vis-a-vis our national our GDP? We stand the risks of the United States imposing sanctions or freezing all that money abroad, and when we are finished as a country.
No, but Honorable Minister, your background might require additional information. What procedure did you use for Uganda to join? Because you didn't seek parliamentary approval. We just heard it in the press that we already members. And two, does it pose financial obligations on Uganda?
It does not. This matter was discussed in cabinet. Cabinet approved it. The president then gave directive to the Minister of Finance through the Minister of Foreign Affairs to write to the Secretariat of BRICS that Uganda wishes to be part and parcel of the BRICS organization, so that in the event of the current and being aware of the current events, international order, we want to be part of the international order. And I do not know whether it required parliamentary approval or not, because when we became members of all these other organizations, I don't think it required members of the approval from Parliament.
How we join international organizations a bit disturbing, whereas I agree that we must be members of various instrumental international organizations. But I think the criteria of how to join and how Uganda is deployed must be elaborated. And when the minister says that he's not aware if parliamentary approval is required, I find it a bit wanting, because one, we process, there would be policy statements from Minister of Foreign Affairs in Parliament, and I would think it partly touches on policy. It touches on policy where you would have found the courtesy to brief Parliament, or at minimum the Committee of Foreign Affairs.
I think if my colleague wished to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs or the respective ministries, Minister of Finance, to make a statement on the floor of Parliament, I think you are a few months late, because when this matter came up in public domain, that was the time when you should have raised that matter on the floor of Parliament and insisted that how did Uganda, in the first place, subscribe to be a member of BRICS at that time, and you should have insisted the Minister of Foreign Affairs, in particular the Minister of Finance, to have brought and explained in Parliament why Uganda is applying. But to raise it now when we are already members.
Actually, it is you quoting the Minister of Finance.
Honourable members,
my concern is Minister of Foreign Affairs. It is you now raising in your response the role of Minister of Finance.
There is no problem if you so wish a statement to be put to be made in Parliament. We are ready more and ready to make that's with the Parliament. There is no problem.
I think we need an elaborate brief on how far the ministry has moved to fine-tune promotions, wages and promotions within the ministry and specifically foreign service staff. Now, looking at page 6, I don't know if I've seen it late, but I was surprised to see that one Ambassador Alintuma Nsambu is paid. His emoluments were increased to a level of a Minister of State. Now, doesn't this create sentiments within the ministry? How do other ambassadors feel? Two, and he said here on a personal to holder basis. Now, this is a bit concerning. I would wish that our diplomats and all ambassadors and foreign service staff are paid well, and if there is any increment, it should apply to all. And also we need to also interrogate the procedures of promotion. But if Alintuma Nsambu, for him as an ambassador, his emoluments were reviewed. I don't recall having seen this copy in the committee, but I think since it is within their submission, they could avail us on the document that reviewed Minister Nsambu's salary to a level of a Minister of State. And it would be concerning for us to learn. Because this same ambassador, I've seen him on TV, already campaigning in Uganda. He's already in elective politics. But here, he's being paid as a minister of state. Whereas other ambassadors, they have not received any increment. And equally, there was a letter that circulated in the media from Mr. Museveni purporting to elevate the salaries of the person who reported to him and a few others. We want to understand the criteria of intervention the ministry is seeking to engage, so that all foreign service staff, especially long-serving staff, can receive the relevant increments and promotions within foreign service. And lastly on that, Madam Chair, I want also the minister to clarify, as part of his communication, we talked about embassies where we don't have ambassadors. Now we are discussing a budget framework paper.
That will come
And
later.
and my prayer was the minister can handle them straight away because they are a bit related. The minister
First 5 questions.
has the duty to answer.
All ambassadors and high commissioners are appointed by His Excellency the President. And the President, when these, and are vetted by Parliament, by the way. Now, you will find that former ministers, we get letters from His Excellency the President, having have appointed this particular individual as High Commissioner or an ambassador in this particular country, and these are the terms in which they're appointing them. And all former ministers are appointed on a clear person-to-holder arrangement with His Excellency the President, meaning that all former ministers who are ambassadors, high commissioners, go with their package as either former minister or a former minister of state. This has been the practice. And that's how Alituma comes into the picture, into what? Getting person to hold salary and emoluments.
There was also a letter from the same head of state, say 20 years, 15 years, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and at our missions, who have never been promoted.
That is
Whenever
true.
there is a new gap,
Because,
you bring in a politician
because,
and takes up a top job.
yes, it is because those individuals who have been in missions for 20 or so years, His Excellency the President appointed them to these missions, and they're not part of the public service system. And as such, it is difficult for the PS to promote them or elevate them, except the President to promote them or elevate them. But those who are civil servants and have civil service contracts have normally and regularly invited for interviews and are promoted. But those who come through these political appointees, they can hang around and sit there forever in the same position, and then they're not promoted.
Chair, I beg that you to give us a copy of any recent invitation or announcement for promotion within Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so we can know that actually the staff are not suffocated, that there is room for growth within the ministry.
We have a whole pile of people who the President has written to us and asked them to be appointed in the Foreign Service as Foreign Service officers. But we have hesitated even and advised the President that such people, we cannot deploy them because of various reasons. First of all, there might not be a vacancy, a position in a mission to post a person. Secondly, we don't have the wages and the allowances to post them as such. And so we similarly advise the President. And then as such, their letters remain in the ministry until such a time when an opportunity arises. It might be 2, it might be 3 years, then maybe you'll be able to join the service, irrespective of what the President writes you. If there's no position or no gap for opportunities, you can write post such a person to London. But there's no position to put the person in London. So what do? We tell the particular individual that thank you very much. The President has appointed you to go to London. I appoint you the Foreign Service officer, but physically we cannot appoint you, send you to London. You expect the President writing, and write back to the President as such. Or tell him also that we don't have the money, even if we send you, to make sure we accommodate you. That's why we've had some problems with some individuals who arrogantly, when the President writes them a letter appointing them, you find them appearing in a mission abroad, saying, I've now been appointed. And the ambassador looks at them in disbelief. That, yes, you have come, but where do I put you? Then number 2, your money comes not from here. Some people are mistaken that the money is sitting in the embassies to pay their salaries, pay their allowances. Sorry, the money comes from Kampala. So sorry, go back to Kampala and sort out about your salary and allowances. So that is why, with due respect, my dear colleague and colleagues, that's why this matter which is raising goes back to my earlier assertion that this committee is such an important committee that has to meet the President of Uganda once or twice a year. So such things, including others, can be discussed head on with the president. Because the matters of political appointees in foreign affairs has been something which we have had to deal with on a daily basis, and something which is very difficult, even us, we find it difficult to manage some of these ambassadors or political appointees in missions, because they come with big heads that I came appointed by His Excellency the President. We were appointed by the President, even civil servants appointed by the President. But in this particular, in foreign affairs, I think it is important, and I insist it's important, that there should be interaction, and sincerely, the Speaker has to assist you. Assist and make sure that you meet the President, so that you can get the opportunity to have a working time with the President.
Information, Honorable Minister, and you as a minister, unless you are saying you want to resign, so that another entity comes into picture. But as long as you are the state minister or you are the minister, you sit in the cabinet. For us in the parliament, we interact with the ministry and the minister plus your PS. So it is your duty to follow up issues of diplomacy.
I have told you before.
Madam Chair,
let me answer this.
I wanted to.
I have no qualm.
Let the minister
I have
conclude.
no qualms.
Let the minister conclude.
Write it and record it in capital letters, please. I have no qualms appearing above this committee in any committee. Let it be recorded. Madam, please, listen.
Clerk,
Write it in
the
capital.
minister wants you to record
Okello
his
Oryem
statement.
has no qualms. Okello Oryem has no qualms, fear, or he feels intimidated to appear before any committee of any sort in this country and even outside this country. So if my shadow minister there, who is a shadow, feels that I fear him, or I fear this committee, please.
So what we want,
You're mistaken.
don't direct us
You are
to
mistaken.
Mr. Museveni.
Madam Chair,
You must only commit to always
Can we
come
have
and answer
order?
this
Madam
committee.
Chair.
You do not understand. You do not understand how system works.
No.
I'm saying
I'm looking
this
at
committee
procedures of parliament.
This
Madam Chair, can I say
procedure-
something?
No,
Our rules of
please.
procedure are that
No,
the
please.
minister
No,
appears